Good morning and welcome to Light Reflections from First Friends. We are glad you have chosen to join us for this virtual worship service and hope you find it beneficial to your spiritual journey. We consider this an abbreviated version of our in-person meeting for worship for those wishing to join us from a distance. If this is your first time joining us, First Friends is a thriving, progressive Quaker meeting in the city of Indianapolis, Indiana. We consider ourselves a loving, inclusive, joyous gathering of people seeking to know truth under the leadership of God's Spirit. All are welcome, no matter race, age, cultural background, sexual orientation and identity, marital status, physical and mental ability, family structure, or economic circumstance. Our hope is that through this worship experience, you will discover our faith community is unlike any other, where silent meditation is as important as the spoken word, where we emphasize the importance of one's personal encounter with the divine, and where we seek to support one another as we discover truth together. Now we invite you to center down and enter this virtual worship space with us.
Sometimes I hide and hope you don't see. The lights are off and the blinds drawn, but the beam of your love illuminates me, and I'm found and I am exposed. You scorch me with your painful light. I turn my face from what you see. I'm afraid that you'll get too close, but your spirit compels me, and I rush into you like a river to the sea. I pour into you and you surround me. I rush into you like a river to the sea. I pour into you and you receive me. I cower down in my small cave. I want to be safe, left alone. The truth of your love terrifies me, so I try to hold my own. Like snow melts on the mountaintop and races through the rocks and trees, driven on, it's drawn to the source that first set it free. And I rush into you like a river to the sea. I pour into you and you surround me. I rush into you like a river to the sea. I pour into you and you receive me. 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 I rush into you
Good morning, friends, and welcome to Light Reflections. This morning our text is from John 3:19-21 from the New Revised Standard Version. And this is the judgment, that the light has come into the world, and people love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. For all who do evil hate the light and do not come to the light, so that their deeds may not be exposed. But those who do what is true come to the light, so that it may be clearly seen that their deeds have been done in God. Well, last Sunday, I found it interesting that Kevin Francis opened our meeting for worship by sharing a favorite quote from Dr. King. And then during waiting worship, our organist, Wolf von Roos, shared the exact same quote out of the silence. Sometimes we say that is the Spirit moving in our midst, or even coincidence. But as the day continued, several other people, I believe worthy to follow on social media, decided to share that same quote. And on Monday, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, this same quote appeared in the service commemorating Dr. King at Cross and Crown. Now, even though later in the day, Wolf warned and challenged us with the following post on Facebook: "May the MLK quote you post today align with the words and actions you choose over the next 364 days. I sensed there was something deeper going on, that so many found this quote so alluring. Well, the quote is very simple, but also loaded with a deeper meaning. And clearly it is speaking to people in the present moment, thus so many people quoting it. So do you remember what Dr. King quote was shared? It was one from King's Love Your Enemies sermons in Strength to Love, a volume of his most well-known homilies from 1963. Kevin and Wolf both quoted the second half, but the longer quote is this: "Returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." As I thought about the reason so many people were sharing this quote, I realized many of us are experiencing darkness in our world on so many levels. Hate speech is rising and continues to incite violence and intolerance, and social media has only made it easier to spread the hate. A lot of this darkness is wrapped in hate specifically toward our neighbors or those different than us. But I also believe many of us are trying hard to turn once again to the light and seek ways to love those around us better. So what is the deeper meaning of this quote for us today? Reading on Blog, I found this explanation. Speaking of this quote by King, it states, "This is a fundamental truth of the universe and the corresponding relationship in the human heart. It starts out stating the obvious. Darkness is a lack of light. More darkness cannot make it less dark, which is something only bringing light can accomplish. Similarly, the quote tells us that hate cannot drive hate from your heart or the hearts of others. The only thing which can do that, according to the quote, is, well, love. While the analogy breaks down a little with hate not being exactly equal to the absence of love, the premise is spot on. In the end, hate will continue if left unopposed. The question is how to best oppose it. The quote states what I believe is one of the best and simplest methods. While no method is foolproof or without risk, it is the best and most effective method I have seen or experienced. Embracing the light of love is essential in a world of hateful darkness. Here's a story from Mahatma Sehgal, co-founder of the Joy Story Foundation, that I believe beautifully illustrates this reality. As well, I think you will find it very Quaker in nature. There were two very close friends who symbolized these two scenarios of darkness and light: the sun and the cave. The sun, we all know, signifies light. The darkness of night fades with the first ray of light. Isn't it wonderful to see how it takes only a single ray of light to illuminate the surroundings? But the cave, on the other hand, denotes total darkness and probably is unaware of the phenomenon called light. One day, the sun and the cave got into a conversation, and the sun said it didn't know what darkness meant and had trouble understanding how it looked. And the cave confessed it didn't equally understand what light meant. So in order to make each other understand the two expressions, they decided to switch places. The cave went up to the sun and was overwhelmed with the brightness of the shining natural light. But at the same time, the cave became morose at the kind of condition she lived in. So she invited the sun to come to her abode to see the condition she was in. And the sun went down to the cave and saw no difference. Everything was illuminated with its light, and that is why the sun could not see any darkness in the cave. The cave too was astonished to see how all the darkness was gone on the arrival of her friend. Mahatma Segal says, this story explains a simple truth that the enlightened ones take their light wherever they go and illuminate the entire atmosphere with their positivity and brightness. They can never be pushed to darkness because they carry their light on their shoulders. On the other hand, someone full of negativity and fear, insecurities, doubt, and yes, hatred, unknowingly becomes a cave which sees no light. It's a hell within, and no matter how much knowledge one accumulates, one remains hollow and is surrounded by complete darkness. Therefore, it's very crucial that we keep ourselves illuminated by burning the light within, by realizing we have everything, all the light within. We don't have to fear the darkness. If we get to know the light within and are illuminated with its brightness like the sun, then the darkness of the cave would never matter. Despite being in the worst situations, we will still be able to find our light or blessings in things around us, and we will be carrying our heaven within us. Darkness and the situations people bring in would vanish, and all that we will see is light. It is thus nothing but a matter of clear perspective in life. Life sometimes throws us into many dark scenarios, but it is for us to keep the light within shining so that it removes the darkness and gloom of our life and always keeps us bright and shiny. Thus, a person who learns to find the light within will always shine like the sun, and the darkness of the cave will be a stranger. So let's see the light within and let us be guided by it to brighten our life and the lives of those stuck in caves around us. Even though this is a rudimentary illustration, I think it's exactly what not only King was trying to say, but also John in his gospel for this morning were trying to say. People love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. For all who do evil hate the light and do not come to the light. Thus, they end up living in a cave so that their deeds may not be exposed. But those who do what is true come to the light and shine like the sun, so that it may be clearly seen that their deeds have been done in God. So looking back at King's quote, if you're going to try to drive out hate, you need to bring the light of love. Now, it won't always be pleasant, but it's the truth. Bringing the light of love doesn't mean you believe as they do, or even that you like them. It simply means that you consider the human bond to be stronger than their hate. And as I read last week from Dr. King's sermon from Detroit, if we match them hate for hate, the world will not be a better place for our effort. The reality is that the little satisfaction we gain will be temporary at best and will eventually be to the detriment of everyone. That's neither a good plan nor is it much of a legacy for our children to inherit. A world filled with more hate than ever. And I think this is exactly why this quote was on so many hearts this week. The darkness is growing, and the call to be the light of love is growing stronger and stronger. Are we going to be like the sun or stuck in our cave? I found it interesting that Philosophlog says that most hatred is based on inaccurate information, or on stories told about injustices of old. Our world today loves to perpetuate inaccurate information and tell stories that make us, look good, while others continue to suffer. When reality is that our hate can only be kept alive if the recipients of the hate act according to the script. This is why we often see hate as brainwashing and creating cookie-cutter beliefs, what ultimately creates us versus them mentalities that enforce and breed hatred. So the most disruptive thing we can do to the script is to show them light and love and compassion and blow the narrative apart. The query of the day then is, are we willing to try? As we contemplate that query, let me close with a brief Punjabi folk tale from the prologue of the book, The Light We Give by Simranjeet Singh. There is an old tale about when the sun was first setting. As her distance narrowed toward the horizon, the light on earth slowly dimmed. This made way for darkness to creep over the land, and the people were afraid that when the sun finally set, darkness would be permanent. What will happen to us, they said. Well, far, far across the land in a smaller hut, a little lantern lifted its wick. It said, I challenge the darkness. In my small corner, I will not let the darkness itself settle around me. And with this example, many other little lanterns in other small huts lifted their wicks to the darkness. And the people watched in amazement as so many little lanterns illuminated the earth, preventing the mask of darkness from taking over. Well, the lantern in the parable did not seek to end darkness entirely. It was humble enough to recognize that this was not a reasonable objective, and instead it focused on its own small corner. And by doing its part, the lantern's flicker of light inspired those around it to do the same. It modeled a way forward that could be emulated, collectivized, and scaled. As other lanterns followed, it became apparent that the little lantern's humble action affected meaningful change. This is our calling, to be the light right where we are, to end the darkness in our world and inspire those around us to do the same. Now, as we enter waiting worship, consider some of the queries we have been pondering already this morning. Am I willing to blow the narrative of hate apart by sharing the light of my love? Who around me is stuck in a cave and might need to experience the light today? And how am I lighting my lamp in my small corner of the world and inspiring others to do the same?
would say that what brings us together has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside, where strangers are as family and loneliness can't hide. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and the laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. I've walked these mountains in the rain. I've learned to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise to watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you, though I never did know how. But like a sunrise on a cloudy day, you stand before me now. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and the laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born in fire. It's planted like a seed. Love can't give you everything, but it gives you what you need. Love comes when you are ready. Love comes when you are afraid. It will be your greatest teacher, the best friend you have made. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and the laughter, and give yourself to love, and give yourself to love.
We close this time of worship with a Quaker prayer. God, open our eyes and unstop our ears, that we may see your light and may hear your heartbeat, reflecting and resounding within our chests, in those of all our neighbors, near and far, in all creatures and plants, and in the ground we walk upon. When we finally are able to yield to the leading of your rhythm and flow, may we come to walk cheerfully over the world, answering that of you in all. Amen. Have a great week, friends.